sick looking fight scenes, and anime. You can't name a more iconic duo. Without them, battle shonen anime would literally have no point. With them, it provides us an endless supply of tier list videos telling us how Goku can totally solo Sukuna because of that one fight. But like, can Goku beat AIDS though? But sick looking animation and flashy visuals aren't the only thing that go into making a good fight scene. Things like fight choreography, sense of weight and scale, and even character motivations are some of the small details that can elevate a fight scene from just okay to amazing. To understand what I mean, think of your favorite fight scene from any anime, and try to think of why you like that fight scene without taking into account the visuals. Maybe it was the back and forth dialogue between the characters. Maybe it was how it portrayed a certain character. Or maybe it was the way the characters fought. A good fight scene is a culmination of its individual ingredients rather than just one defining thing. So rather than doing a Watch Mojo top 10 video of my favorite fight scenes in anime, I thought it'd be fun to show you guys 3 different fight scenes that are iconic in their own way, and one that I consider to be the best fight scene in all of anime. Before I show you the scenes, it's important to ask, why does this matter? I mean, I learned my lesson. Apparently, I need to stop looking too deep into things and trying to find meanings where there is none. But if it really didn't matter, we wouldn't have elements in filmmaking like fight choreography. You wouldn't have actors like Scott Adkins talking about how important timing and coordination is when planning out a fight. If all it took to make a good fight scene are 2 bright colors smashing against each other, why bother having characters in the scene to begin with? That's because, at its core, fighting is a language. It's a way for the audience to know more about the world without actually saying it. It communicates to you everything you need to know about someone. Maybe a character is cocky with a certain flair to their moves. Or maybe they lock in for a fight and focus on being more efficient. Maybe the characters that are fighting have some kind of prior relationship and it comes out when they throw down. When words fail, actions speak the loudest. And I know that's ironic coming from a medium where characters give on-the-fly description of what's happening like they're giving play-by-play at the fucking Super Bowl. But memes aside, this kind of unspoken communication can really elevate not only a fight scene, but the characters in the scene. And this first clip that I'm going to show you, I feel really embodies that spirit. Now, this is an amazing fight because of the things that go unsaid. If you know nothing about Naruto, here's some info to get you up to speed. Naruto is your usual shonen anime protagonist. He's loud, energetic, a bit dense and stubborn, but ultimately means well. While Sasuke is your usual rival-type character who's the complete opposite of Naruto. He's silent, he's stoic, and he doesn't really want to get involved with people unless it helps him to get stronger. And at the end of the original Naruto series, he leaves his village to do just that. And here in the sequel, Naruto Shippuden, we have this final climactic showdown between the both of them. Sasuke coming back to kill his past, and Naruto here to save it. And already in the beginning, there is so much to dissect. The fight starts off with some very basic fist fighting, but there is a blink and you miss it type moment. Throughout the series, one of Naruto's signature moves is the Shadow Clone Jutsu, a technique where he can make clones of himself. Think of like Goku and the Kamehameha, or Smash players and not wearing deodorant. Naruto is known for this move, he's partly iconic for it. And to do the Shadow Clone, Naruto needs to make this exact hand sign. And here you get to see what I mean when I say fighting is a form of communication. During the fight, you see Naruto immediately go for the Shadow Clone Jutsu. So what does Sasuke do? He puts on the pressure. The moment he sees Naruto bring his hands together, he throws something to get him off balance. And when Naruto thinks he's got another chance to do the shadow clone, Sasuke immediately closes the distance and puts on more pressure. This small exchange of blows is a really good way to convey their relationship. Because you gotta remember, this is Naruto's signature move, and Sasuke knows this. They grew up together, they went on missions together. It makes sense to assume Sasuke knows how Naruto fights. He's using actual strategy to keep the advantage in his favor, because if he didn't, the fight would go from a 1v1 to a 10v1, a position he knows he doesn't want to be in. From a visual perspective, it makes the fight all the more dynamic, but from a storytelling perspective, the fight is elevated. There's an agenda to these two characters trading blows, and it gets across the idea that these two people were friends at one point without really saying it. I will admit the fight does turn into two bright colors bashing against each other in true Naruto fashion, but it's near the end of the fight that it brings this unspoken communication back. After all the earth-shattering blows, Naruto and Sasuke just decide to beat the ever-loving shit out of each other. We go from literal titans clashing to the equivalent of a 2 a.m. brawl outside of Waffle House. And before you think I'm making fun of the show, I'm not. If anything, this return to basics works for the fight. Both characters by this point are exhausted, but both characters are too stubborn to back down because of their own convictions. Naruto wanting to save his childhood friend, Sasuke wanting to kill his. Both are determined to do just that, irregardless of the cost. And this devolving into what basically is a street fight sells me on their relationship. The blows are heavy, the punches have weight. Any of the ninja finesse that they showed before this is just thrown out the window for pure, uncontained anger. And it works. It sells me on their relationship. You don't just throw hands like this unless it was personal. Now, there are other things that I can mention, but I hope you get the gist of what I'm talking about, because there are more clips that we need to go through, and I don't want to edit a 20-minute video, so moving on. Now I know what you're thinking. This isn't an anime in the traditional sense, but it's my channel, I do what I want. But in all seriousness though, Arcane does a lot of things that I wish a lot more mainstream anime would pay attention to. This may not count as an anime for some, but by God, this fight is awesome. Where the Naruto fight scene at least had some ninja flair to it, this one is as chaotic as a bar fight gets. Strategy, non-existent. Both characters just want to beat the ever-loving shit out of each other. Grace and elegance, never heard of the concept. It's a bare-knuckles brawl through and through. Well, as bare-knuckles as you can get with giant metal fists. This fight scene is only about 3 minutes, so it's not that long, but for the first half of it, the main character Vi gets her shit pushed in. As in, she gets decked. Repeatedly. And you might think I'm weird for focusing on this, but this is exactly why it's such a good fight. The main character has to struggle to overcome their opponent. I know in mainstream anime, power fantasies reign supreme, and don't get me wrong, I love me a good power fantasy. I mean, I, for some ungodly reasons, finished watching both seasons of The Irregular at Magic High School and its spin-off. But having your character struggle and overcoming the odds by being smarter or faster or stronger or even just using the power of friendship is a good way to humanize a fight. Think about it like this. If you play video games, chances are you consume content like speedruns or you follow an esports league. We love consuming content, or we get to see players perform at levels we normally wouldn't play at. There's something inherently attractive seeing the best of the best doing what they're good at. But the inverse is also true. Think of an iconic moment when you played a video game. Maybe you killed a boss with barely any health left. Maybe you clutched around where you genuinely thought you were gonna lose. A narrow victory can feel just as satisfying as an easy win. Having Vi struggle in a fight is a good way to get me invested in her journey. She actually has to work hard if she wants to win. And I know some people might say, well, she's still gonna win. She's the protagonist. Without her, there's no story. And yeah, but a good fight scene is one that at least makes me think they're gonna lose. Seeing a protagonist overcome a challenge is what gives a story flavor. Vi was going to win anyway, but getting her shit kicked in and seeing her make a comeback makes me like her more than I already did. And having her struggle is a good way to flesh out the villain for a bit. Throughout the show, Savika is your standard henchman that's slightly more competent than your average goon, but when she gets hopped up on Shimmer and goes up against Vi, she's fucking badass. Like, she becomes this mini-boss that's super satisfying to fight. And when Vi gets that knockout blow on her at the end, you learn to respect Savika just as much as Vi. It's no wonder that after this fight scene, so many people want Savika as a champion in League. She went from unassuming side character to fan favorite real quick. And yeah, you could also talk about how Riot is really good at writing characters regardless of their gender, but this is still a good fight. I may not ever relate to some OP Giga Chad anime protagonist one-shotting their opponent, but a person willing to wade through hell to protect the one she loves? Now that's a story that I can stand with. Now this last one is a 2-in-1 special. It's a fight scene that I consider to be one of the best in all of anime, while doing something cool in its own right. This scene comes from a 2007 anime film called Sword of the Stranger. I genuinely do believe this can beat out some of the more modern animes when it comes to animation quality and fight choreography. And you can thank Studio Bones for that. You don't just get to make Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and all 7 seasons of My Hero Academia without knowing your shit. Now, the scene that I'm going to talk about is the final fight scene of the movie, but I will keep spoilers down to a minimum. In the movie, the main character, Nanashi, is a ronin that has sworn to never unsheath his blade because of his dark past. But when Kotaro, a person that he's sworn to protect, is about to be killed, he finally decides to take up arms and use his blade to protect lives rather than take them. And when he squares up against the movie's main villain, Luo Lang, you get to see everything that I mentioned just now play out in gorgeous fluidity. It felt genuinely satisfying seeing Nanashi finally unsheathing his blade. This is all because of the way he fights really communicates his journey from tortured soul to determined hero. While he's still deadly without his blade, it's kinda obvious that he was holding back. But when he does finally take up arms, he feels like a completely different person. He finally allows himself the opportunity to right the wrongs of his past. And with the music swelling up, it's an inspiring moment that makes the payoff of Nanashi's hero's journey well worth it. And the villain is no slouch too, like Luo Lang is a beast. Yeah, he's a bit one note, he's your average I'm just here to fight strong opponents type villains, but the final battle really sells me on this. The dude is aggressive, and with how confident he is in his own skills, it's not hard to imagine that the way he got so good was fighting only the strongest opponents. There's almost like a contrast to their fight even. Where Nanashi was ashamed of his blood-soaked past, Luo Lang revels in his own violent present. And when the final fight does go down, it's kinda like fighting a mad rabid dog. He's aggressive, he smirks while he fights, he offers Nanashi medicine to heal himself for no other reason than to just have a better fight. Just like a mad rabid dog, he is someone that truly lives in the moment. And it goes without saying that this fight scene just looks amazing. If you're a big fan of samurai movies, then this movie is well worth your time. But the one thing that I love about this fight, that it does better than any other, even more than the 2 that I just praised, is the fact that the fight scene moves. As much as I gushed about the Naruto and Arcane fight scene just now, it ultimately took place in one spot. Yeah, they moved around where they were, but they didn't move around to different arenas. Think of the old 3D Mortal Kombat games and how you could punch someone into a different part of the arena. Yeah, it was only a visual change and didn't affect much of the gameplay, but it looked cool. In Sword of the Stranger, both characters are ducking and weaving, jumping from platform to platform, they're even sliding across the snow to gain distance from each other. It feels like a proper duel. 2 experienced fighters who are able to judge what the environment can do for them to get a leg up on their opponent. Now, credit where credit is due, a lot of modern animes seem to have realized this now and have fights that actively move from place to place. But I just feel like Sword of the Strangers showed us how movement can elevate a fight scene even in a more realistic setting. If you want a more in-depth analysis about this fight, you can watch this video by Annie Valley where they got actual animation students to talk about the more technical side of things. They're way more equipped than me to talk about how the animation actually works. I can only tell you that it looks awesome and why it is in my own opinion. So yeah, these are what I consider to be some of the best fight scenes in anime. This is by no means a definitive list. Anime at this point is a very huge medium. It would be super arrogant of me to say that these are the only best fight scenes in anime. There are plenty of other shows that can totally beat out the three that I just mentioned. It's just that I feel like these three scenes managed to do something that's really unique without being overly gimmicky. It also helps that visually these scenes just look amazing. Like, I know I said ignore the visuals, but I'm not gonna lie, there is some bias here. Anyway, let me know what you think of my top 3 picks, and tell me what your favorite fight scene is down in the comments. I would love to know how wrong I am in this topic. And if you made it this far into my video, thank you so much for listening to me yap about anime fight scenes for 15 minutes straight. This is my longest video yet, and I probably sound like a crazy person at this point. So, until the next video, I will see all of you lovely people next time. Swelling up, it's an inspiring moment that makes the payoff of Nanashi's journey well worth it. And the villain Luo Lang, holy shit, I can't say this dude's name. Luo Lang, I think it's Luo Lang. I cannot say this man's name. Luo Lang. Luo Lang? Luo Lang. Luo Lang. Okay. Luo Lang. All right. This is going into an outtake reels for sure. Luo Lang. Luo Lang. Okay.